Imagine a student sitting quietly in the back of your classroom. On the surface, they look disengaged, maybe even resistant to learning. But what you don't see are the battles they are fighting outside of school: poverty, lack of support at home, or that quiet ache of believing they are not enough. Too often, these students fall through the cracks, labeled as dropout. But what if those same students could break free from the cycle of educational injustice and rise to unimaginable heights? Today, we're talking with someone who did just that. Welcome back to Everything But the Lesson Plan. I am your host, Franchesca Thompson, and today we are joined by an extraordinary guest, Dr. Terence Lester, author of the book From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. Terrence's story is one of resilience, transformation, and the belief that no student is beyond redemption. His journey from leaving school to earning his doctorate is not only inspiring, but also a powerful call to educators everywhere. Welcome to the show, Dr. Lester. How are you today?
Francesca, I'm present.
Yes.
We're at the end of a tough year for many, and
hmm
I'm just reflecting and taking it all in.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to do at the end of the year. I think tomorrow is going to be my time to sit down and reflect on my 2025. I need to start creating some goals and some things that I want to do for 2026. I shared with you that I'm in school, so that is the biggest thing for me is to get out of school.
Yeah, what I didn't even catch. What is your schooling focused on, and what are you passionate about right now?
So right now I'm at UGA working on my PhD, and my focus is on being mindful. Um,
Mm,
um, Mindfulness, meditation, and to support new teachers in high need schools. So I'm hoping to bring some resources that are just not there yet in that space to help teachers who deal with a lot of stress in high needs or low income schools have some tools that they can support themselves with in the classroom space. So that's what I'm studying.
wow.
Yeah.
I really resonate with that, and
hmm
I know you're going to get to the questions, but I mean, that is so transferable to leadership in all fields. Specifically, I resonate with it as a nonprofit leader.
hmm
I serve high need communities and high need populations. And I'm always asking myself, what keeps me going, right? It's
hmm
not just being proximate to the stories of those who we deeply care about, but it's caring for the self
Yeah.
and my own soul and finding moments to rest and fill myself up in a way where I can continue the journey. Because sometimes when you're working in what would be more adverse environments, it's hard. It's hard
It
work, and
is. It
it's
is.
laborious, and it can be draining in many ways, right?
It
And
can be.
so to continue to fight, I think one of the things that I've learned, even as a leader, is resistance looks like rest and self-care and doing
Yeah.
all of the proper things that I need for myself. So thank you for saying that. Thank you for your
Yeah.
research. And
Thank you.
I can't wait to call you doctor.
Oh, thank you. Well, what we're going to talk about today is one of your recent books, Dropout, From Dropout to Doctorate, Breaking the Chains of Educational Injustice. And I think this is a great timing because I'm hoping that the stuff that we talk about today is some things that teachers can take with them as they get ready to start their 2026 school year. So what inspired you? I know we're going to go into some details about the books and some things that teachers can use, but tell me that what was that aha moment, that thing that you was like, this is the book I've got to write?
Yeah, well, it was a number of factors. Firstly, this book helped me to grieve. I
Mm,
lost my father in January of 2024, and I remember right after receiving um just the book contract, it dawned on me that he was not here
Mhm.
physically, right, to celebrate that
Yeah.
with me. And although he was able to call me doctor and and saw me or heard me defend my PhD, my dissertation and things like that, he
Mhm.
wasn't able to physically like come and be present because he was dealing with an illness. And so one of the things that I had to do as a writer, as I was reflecting on like how do I even, arrive at getting a PhD? You're talking about your
Yeah.
own research. Sometimes that causes you to reflect.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget having a professor that encouraged us to write personal scholarly narratives, right?
Mm.
And she would always challenge us to like, how do you see yourself in the research, right? What led you to your philosophical assumptions or your inquiries, or where did you start questioning or having the types of questions that would provoke you to pursue research, right?
Yeah.
And to understand. And it was my life story. It was, my relationship with my father and how it morphed into a forgiveness situation where we were able to reconcile it. It was where I grew up on the southwest side of Atlanta,
Yeah.
studying the historical parts of Atlanta and how, the residue of redlining concentrated poverty in predominantly Black communities. It
Mhm.
was understanding how poverty itself is a form of trauma and how that impacted me as a child, trying
Yeah.
to matriculate through what you described, even as you're talking about your research and
Mhm.
supporting educators and helping professionals in hard environments. Like I was a product of that, and so I grew up in those types of environments. And poverty is violent, right?
Yeah, it
As
is.
Coretta Scott King says. It doesn't just impact your economical well-being or your, economics. It can poverty can impact your social, your occupational, your environmental, your physical, your psychological, your physiological, your
Yeah.
emotional, um, your spiritual, right?
That's
The
right.
poverty impacts the whole well-being of a person. And so, like, grappling with research, understanding my own story, and seeing myself in the center of the narrative, I was trying to figure out how could I tell my story in a way while also trying to educate people who may be
Mhm.
on the outside looking in, how hard it is to go from, growing up in poverty, experiencing trauma, not being exposed to people who or male role models who ever graduated from college to overcoming a lot of that, to accessing the academy, and then becoming the first man in my family to hold a PhD. Like that
Wow.
does not just happen. And so that's what inspired me. And I know that
That's,
was a long answer, but shout out to my father,
yeah.
whose legacy is still uh,
Still continue.
moving, continue through me. And yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
I love that. So, you share openly about dropping out of high school. What were some of the biggest emotional and academic struggles you faced as a student? And what do you wish teachers um, understood about you at that time?
Yeah. You know, well, first, I want to name that people don't become who you want them to become, they become what you encourage them to become.
Mm-hmm.
Words have power, right?
Yeah.
Uh, they can lift someone up or they can tear someone down. I wish I had teachers who saw me in that way. And when I say saw me or seeing a person, not just like the ableistic idea of like seeing, but like acknowledging the humanity of a person, acknowledging the inherent worth and value of a person, acknowledging the fact that a student, namely myself, has a story that extends beyond the school walls, right? And so
Yeah.
there were many days I showed up and I was tired because I noted in the book, I ran away from home. I, you know, experienced homelessness as a teen briefly, right? I
Yeah.
had a lot of social pressures stemming from my environment, whether it was trauma, I saw violence early on, all of those things. And so I was carrying a lot emotionally, which created some of the barriers for me to actually connect with my lesson. And
Mm.
I wasn't expecting my teachers to be therapists, right?
Yeah.
But I talk about trauma informed care and trauma informed pedagogy in my text because that level of awareness is critical
Yeah.
because awareness um, invites you to ask, how might I support, right? And so many times students show up in school and instead of asking what's wrong with you, we should be asking what happened to you, right?
Hmm.
Which is a better question. And so I wish I did. I wish I had educators who saw me early on. I wish I had the type of support system early on I needed to navigate some of the things that I was grappling with. But I am also grateful now on the other side that it shaped me and
Yeah.
it gave me the types of insights that I have now that I can articulate in a way to communicate what is needed and necessary for the student who is just like I once was.
Yeah. And I like that you said the question should be what happened to you instead of what's wrong with you. And it took me back to my early days of teaching, and I had a student, and in my mind, I was like, what is wrong with him? Right?
Mm.
And it's just being honest,
Yeah.
because we sometimes we don't have all of these tools to understand what students are going through, and how to support them. And so I literally was doing everything. I was trying to talk to the
Mm.
student. I was trying to, but I was also personally, I was getting a little upset. I'll be honest, because I'm like, it's nothing I can do
Yeah.
to make this student talk or be happy or anything. And like,
Yeah.
what can I do? And so,
Yeah.
with you saying what happened to you, if that was the question that I would have understood to ask at that time, then I would have gotten the answer of what was wrong with him. He was having some problems at home with his mother. His mother was
Mm.
physically abusing him,
Mm.
and I
Mm.
just didn't know. You know, it showed up in my classroom as a student who came in, sat down, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He didn't participate. He didn't do the assignments. He was just wouldn't smile, and I was
Mm.
like, what
Mm.
is happening?
Wow.
No matter
Wow.
what
Yeah.
I did. So I like that you said, sometimes we got to think of it as what happened to you. And it just so happened that he came to class one day with scratches all over his face. And at that time,
Mm.
it's like, oh, something is going on here. And once the assistant principal and all the people that are involved at their investigation, that's when we found out that he was being physically abused.
Wow.
And that's why he showed up the way he showed up at school. But sometimes
Wow.
it takes a long time for teachers to figure that out,
Yes.
because
Yes.
sometimes the signs are not that clear. And sometimes kids are not going to just share stuff like that with you?
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you so much for, wow, that's such a powerful story.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hitting me in my heart.
Hmm. And that's what it did to me.
Yeah, it's like, wow, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a level of trust there,
Hmm.
his own mother experiencing abuse, so there could have been some barriers with connecting with
Hmm.
teachers who were also women.
Yeah.
um and that it's just so many layers there, but I am
Yeah.
so grateful and thankful that that level of awareness
Hmm.
was was able to be experienced on the side of the educators, and that gave you all more clarity as to
Yes.
why some of those behavioral outcomes were showing up in class. You know what
Yeah.
it also makes me think about though?
Yeah.
Um, it makes me think about how important it is for, like, I'm almost imagining like you're saying I'm doing everything, and I'm sure as an educator you were doing the best you could to create these types of safe spaces, right?
Right.
And how important safety is.
Yeah.
Like in my book, I talk about an educator, similar heart to you. Her name is Miss West,
Mm-hmm.
and I dropped out of high school. Somehow, my mom was able to get me back into school as a fifth year senior. The proper term is fifth year persister, and the counselors met, the administration, they allowed me to come back. So I'm walking down the halls, fifth year senior, people who are my peers are laughing, calling me names. Oh, you're a super senior. Other educators, why are you back here? They wanted
Mm-hmm.
me gone. And I'm trying to navigate the embarrassment, but also I have no margin for error, right?
Mm-hmm.
I go to the guidance counselor, I get my schedule. It's a full schedule. I have to complete this last year. I cannot fail anything, right?
Right.
And I get a 10th grade geometry teacher. Her name is Miss West. I
Mm-hmm.
remember going into her classroom and I sat in the back. I mean, I'm carrying all this pressure, similar story. And she keeps looking at me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sad. I have, all of this emotional pain that I'm carrying, trying to question whether I am going to make it or not. And
Yeah.
she asked me to stay after class, and I did. It was her first year teaching. And she says, "Look at me." So I looked at her and she says, "I want you to know something. You're black, you're brilliant, and you're going to be a leader one day."
Wow.
And it was like I had experienced so much and had been numb so long. I was longing for hopeful words. And it
Mm-hmm.
just so happened in that moment, she was the person. But that
Yeah.
does not negate all of the other educators, right? Who
Right.
was, sowing the seeds and, like you, I'm showing that I care and all of those things. I think it led up to that moment where finally that educator who was before me, her words was just like water, and she became a champion to me. And she told me these words, and I want to share this to close out my statement. But she says, "I want you to use my classroom as a sanctuary."
Mm.
I didn't even know what that term meant, but what she was saying is, I just want my space to be a safe space for you.
Safe space.
Whenever you are able, you're walking up and down the halls, or if you feel overwhelmed, ask a teacher to have for a pass to come to my classroom. So like her classroom became a place where I could not only decompress, but feel a sense of relief. But I got this. I can continue to keep taking the steps needed until I finally graduated. And she was one of the ones that was there to celebrate me alongside my mother. And
Wow. That's
thank
great.
you
And
for your work as well, because you never know.
yeah, you never
Right?
know. And I love that she was a new teacher who was able to
Yes.
plant that seed for you. Because it's hard being a new teacher, right? And managing the classroom, learning the school culture and climate, and understanding the students, especially if it's a high need school
Right.
and taking care of yourself.
That's
So
right.
yeah, I'm glad that she was able to do that for you.
Yeah. Shout out the teachers who, as you said, are caring for themselves, are
Mm-hmm.
showing up,
Yeah,
are doing the hard things, staying late,
that's
going
right.
above and beyond,
Yeah,
and finding time, right,
right.
to, speak words of affirmation in life into students who
Yeah,
may be more challenged, because those things matter. you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you also talk about breaking the chains of educational injustice. So from your perspective, what systematic barriers most often block students in high need schools, and what can educators do in their own classrooms to push back against those barriers? Almost, what we were just talking about with the new teacher. What
Yeah.
other barriers do you think are things that teachers can do to push back?
Yeah. So that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
It can be anything from, food resources to,
Hmm.
exposure uh, to be able to dream of possibilities beyond the environment. I was just giving a lecture in Chicago a little earlier this year, and there was a professor from a university in Chicago. She comes up to me, a middle-aged white woman. She says, "Yeah, I really like your content," but she was struggling. She was like, "Why? Well, why is this such a big deal that you were able to achieve, these types of educational heights?" And I asked her a question. I said, "When was the first time you believed that you could go to college?"
Hmm.
She thought about it and she says, "Oh, I knew in fourth grade."
Wow.
I said, "For me, I was 20.
Mm.
That's a 10-year
Wow.
head start,
Yeah.
right?" I didn't have at that time, like my dad didn't graduate from college. None of my uncles set me down, none of my male cousins or anything. And so my mom went to a HBCU. She graduated, but she was a single parent. And so she was working and she didn't have the margin to really educate me about those things. And sometimes it's just even exposure, right? Like,
Yeah.
talking to a student about their skill sets and how that aligns with their career paths, right? Um, I've worked with students who sometimes educational injustice for them is not having tutoring or
Yeah.
not having the proper transportation. Right now, I sit on the governance council for a school that is expected to be closed by the county, and they're going to move all of the students maybe 8 or 9 minutes down the road, but transportation issues, right, is going to become a barrier that drives up absenteeism amongst the
Yeah.
student population. We're not talking about the funding shifts that are going to impact Title I schools, right? We've seen a decline in um, the budget, and we're talking with the principal about how support in instructional coaches are being pulled out of the classroom because you have to
Mhm.
cover another area. And so that is a form of educational injustice in that you don't have the full support. We're not talking about um, the urban hassles, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes that language is more like academic, but it's the environment, it's the water, it's the air pollution, it's where you actually are positioned.
Yeah.
Housing actually connects to education in that the taxes that you pay on housing produces budgets, right? And
Yeah.
so it's a lot of different things. I've even seen how gentrification has impacted education, and I'm thinking about this one school that we're working with, and how the families in the neighborhood that are native to the neighborhood can no longer afford to stay in the neighborhood, right?
Mm.
And are driven out of the neighborhood, right? While everything around it and the school is actually becoming more beautified, but they can't participate in the beautification because they are
Yeah.
impoverished. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of different things um, that people can think about. And I normally tell people, oh, even the technology divide, right? Uh,
Yeah.
at our organization, we're doing this project called Zion's Closets, where we're working with principals and social workers in high need schools, and they'll give us a classroom and we'll retrofit it with all of the support items within this classroom, whether it's washing machines and dryers or computer labs for parents to come out and fill out job applications, because even the digital divide is a
That's
form of
right.
educational injustice. What if you don't have access to some of the more advanced ways of connecting with the digital community? We're not even talking about AI and the
Yeah.
revolution of AI and how that's going to wipe out uh, you know, possible jobs for people.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole lot of things to consider. And I name these because right now we're doing a lot of work in Title I schools, and I see it on the ground level and as early as elementary school. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why it's all of the things you're talking about is that support system. And
Hmm.
so I think is really important for schools and high needs, low income communities to understand that they must do all that they can to build those support systems. So part of my job um, is to go out into the community, find programs, find opportunities for our students, and bring those resources into the schools, bring those companies. And I think
That's
that,
awesome.
yeah, and I think this is one of those areas that a lot of schools miss. And I get it, especially if you're just working in a school that's understaffed, have a lot of issues. Sometimes you don't have what it takes to be able to go out here and reach these business partners, community partners, even something as simple as talking to the city. We were able to
Mm.
bring in microtransit to the
Oh, that's
schools
awesome.
so that our
Yeah.
students, because I'm at a high school, so that our students can stop taking these expensive Ubers, that they can't afford anyway, and
Right.
or they won't stay after school at all because they don't have transportation after school.
Right.
And so we were able to work with the microtransit. We actually invited them into the space. They did like a presentation. They showed the students what they needed to do, how they could get the app, how it was like $1.50 to ride the bus.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that one little thing made a difference for those students who were like, well, I'm not going to be able to stay after school for tutoring because I don't have a ride home, to now, okay, I can do this. And also,
Mm.
we had a, a program, a nonprofit to come in and bring in hot meals after school. And I didn't realize how important that was. Though
Yes.
it was one day that this company did not show up. And I don't know the reason behind that, but those kids were seeking that meal. It was like,
Yes.
are they not coming? Are they not coming today? And I'm like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, these kids really need that food before they go home.
Mm.
So it's like reaching out to these nonprofits, getting these business partners to understand what you need,
Yes.
working with them to build that support system to help
Yes.
you and to help the students
Yes.
to get to the next level.
Mm.
So I'm
That
glad
that
that you talk about that as well, sir.
yeah. The whole
Yes.
community should be concerned about the educational futures of scholars, right?
Yes.
That
Yes.
breaks my heart to hear, and I hear those stories very
Mm-hmm.
often. Like one meal could
One
be the
meal.
difference of a student saying, "I have the confidence to continue to
Yeah.
give my all towards the lesson,"
Mm-hmm.
versus I don't have anything anyway, so why should I even care, right?
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and you're right. And I guess I want people to understand this, Dr. Lester. If kids come to school and they have not had anything to eat, they could care less about your lesson plan, about the book
right,
you're trying to get them to read, the project you want them to do. They are hungry, and that is the only thing
right,
that is on their mind. So if they're
right.
dealing with that on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, yeah, there's going to be behavior problems. Yeah, they're not going to turn in things because they need food. So
They need it.
yes. So I just hope that communities, these nonprofit organizations, these schools, try to get these resources to come into your school and support your food bank and
That's
things
right.
like that. Yeah.
Mm.
All
That's
right.
so good. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah. So if every teacher listening could walk into a classroom tomorrow and do one thing differently to prevent a potential dropout from slipping through the cracks, what would be that one thing? And it's probably that's another one of those loaded questions, but what is your thoughts on that?
Wow. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've been look, it's been heavy
yeah,
all look.
it's yeah,
We've been hitting
we
all the points.
yeah,
Did we
we
miss
have
something?
no, we haven't. I would say, it's going to sound cliche, but I hope it doesn't come across that way. I would
Hmm.
say love,
Love.
love, and love is compassion. Love is care. Love is awareness. Love
Mhm.
is just positivity and a warm presence. Love is affirming words. Love is saying I see you
Hmm.
beyond your circumstance. Love
Yeah.
is sometimes in the form of support. And so, like, we never know how the embodiment of that word will become the inspiration or the second win or the thing that pushes a scholar or a student to overcome. I am a
Yeah.
product of love, right?
Yeah.
And that has shown up in various ways throughout my life, whether it
Mhm.
was financial support, whether it was you can do it, whether it was I'm going to help you pay for part of your college, whether it was you can go to college, whether it was you're good at writing, why don't
Yeah.
you pursue this? It could be anything, and so I would hope that a teacher, in whatever way love shows up in how they interact with their student, to always keep that on the back of their mind.
Yeah. I love that. And let me tell you something. There's a book. Are you familiar with bell hooks?
Yeah,
Oh my
I love
gosh.
I love bell hooks.
Oh my gosh. I just found out about her at when I started at UGA. My professor put me on, and that all of my research and work that I am doing right now is,
All about
bell hook.
love.
Yes, all about love. Yes.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
book I can read over and over and over again. I actually told my entire family, y'all need to buy this book.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
Yeah.
that's what she talks about and how we misuse love and how we how it should be a part of our conversations, especially in schools. And
It's
so
healing. That's what she's
yeah,
communicating. Love
yeah,
is healing.
it is healing. So thank you for that. Um, so I want to ask you one more question. It's about your book and as a resource that schools can use. A lot of different schools, especially at the beginning of the school year, they have these professional developments and they adopt a book. They have these reading clubs and things like that. So, why do you believe schools should make From Dropout to Doctorate available to teachers? What is something that they could get from that, using that in their schools?
Yeah, especially if they're working in hard environments where students
Mhm.
have more adverse conditions. I would say if they care about the educational futures of students who have similar stories to mine, it can give them insights as to ways to engage those types of students. It could
Yeah,
help you to uh, think innovatively with
yeah,
your colleagues about how to support students. It could even help you dream of the type of resources that we've been talking about to incorporate in your school. It can help you think about what types of collaborations and partnerships around the community that can be resourceful for those students. But most importantly, it can help you see beyond a student's social location at the moment, right?
mm, yeah,
Because sometimes we are only looking through a limited view of like this is where they are, but we're not dreaming beyond where they are to see what they can become.
yeah,
And I am an example and should not be a rarity of someone who has overcome these types of challenges. Um, and I am a product of teachers who saw beyond my circumstances. And so, if you're in a place and you're needing some inspiration, uh, to just know that even if you don't see the results right away, that your labor is not in vain. I would say pick it up.
Yeah. Well, this is great. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Dr. Lester.
Thank you so much. I am I'm excited about reading your research, and
Yes,
then
thank
we have
you.
the connection through bell hooks.
Yes. Oh,
Look,
that is the
bell
one
hooks
person
helped
I
me
wish
get
I could
through.
have met.
Yes, bell hooks helped me get through. Rest in
Yes.
peace.
I
Yeah.
am now on a pursuit to collect every single book that she has written. So I got a few for Christmas. So I want her whole collection.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant thinker.
Yes,
Brilliant
yes,
thinker. Yeah.
yes, she is. Well, Dr. Lester's story reminds us that no student's future is set in stone. Behind every struggle is potential waiting to be nurtured. And behind every dropout statistic is a child who needs someone to believe in them. As educators, we carry the power to either reinforce the chain or break it. The choice is ours. Let's choose to see every student as a possibility and not a problem. That is it for this week and this season of Everything But the Lesson Plan. Happy New Year and keep thriving.